So then, the only other person I really knew who was in Texas at that time would be Robin Bechtold, who was working as a lawyer then in Texas. That was the only person I knew personally in Texas. So I met, up with, actually a whole bunch of things happened all very fast. Because after I was out of that one apartment that was overlooking the Pentagon, it was kind of like every single day there was something different happening. There were a couple of things that happened in consecutive order, and it is an order that I want to keep straight. So I think I need to think about it for a minute and remember exactly which thing happened first and which house I was at first and then next. And then I will complete. Maybe I'll finish doing some of these clips later tonight. Because I'd really like to continue, but but I need to get the order of events straight next, and it will lead up to my son being murdered, my unborn child being murdered by the United States government, and my son being murdered by the United States government is the exact same thing that this government did to my parents' son, Gannon. They waited until Gannon was already born, and then they murdered him. I have no doubt. I used to just wonder. I mean, later I kind of wondered. I thought, if this country's done all these other things. And then I started to ask some questions, and then I did a little research, and he was murdered. I have a feeling that it was to punish my parents for something or in retaliation for something. Because then the next thing that happened to me is I was traumatized, and then all of a sudden now I'm getting this information from the FBI like 7 years late, with them claiming that records about me from 1977 have been quote-unquote destroyed. And probably they're not destroyed. So I don't know why they would want me to even see that something did happen in 1977, because that's probably true. But I don't think they were ever destroyed. The other baby that I think was possibly targeted by the government, and I don't know for sure, but I think it makes a lot of sense, and I haven't asked questions or done research about it. But my mother's parents, my granny and grandpa, Granny's name is Beverly Briggenser, and my grandpa's name is Roland Baird. And they had my mother, Dixie Dale Baird, then they had Lachlan Baird, and then they had Holly Baird, and then they had a fourth girl. My grandmother became pregnant, and they named her before she was born. Her name was Madonna Joy. And she was carried for 9 months by Granny. And then when she was born, my grandmother somehow did go into labor, and she was born full term, but then when she was born, she was stillborn. She was born dead. And I know my grandfather took it very hard. My grandmother did too. But then what Granny said, the doctors said to her, I said, well, what was the reason? Because I asked a long time ago. And she always said that what they told her was, you had too many children for the strength of your body. She has repeated that line to me so many times, I know it's etched into her memory forever. I mean, as a little girl, when I was a teenager, whenever Madonna Joy was brought up, Granny always would repeat the same thing. and they told me, and she never said it in an accusatory way, but she would say to me, and they told me, you had too many children for the strength of your body. And then later she got pregnant again, and she had another healthy child, and that was Lauren. That was their boy. But I have a very good feeling that something that the government did killed Madonna Joy. And I think the excuse of you had too many children for the strength of your body is very weird. And maybe there are more babies that I don't know about that have been targeted, but I know for a fact that Gannon Levi Garrett, who was my parents' first child, that was born in 1972, I know for a fact he was murdered by the United States government. And I know for a fact that my baby was murdered by the United States government. And that's after they tortured my son Oliver, and they continue to use him and torture him.